another one, you guys. If you're new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we are in the brand new 2026 Toyota Supra because this very well may be the final Supra, at least according to the trim levels, which we'll get into here in a second. Also, 6-speed manual is still available. We actually have that with us here today. And ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so there are 3 different trim levels for the 2026 Supra. You got the 3.0 starting at $56,900, 3.0 Premium, which is the one we are in today, going for $60,050, and then the MkV Final Edition, that one starts at $67,950. That is the new trim level for the 2026 Supra, and obviously by the name, that leads one to think that this very well may be the final Supra, at least for the MkV. I'll just put it that way. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant is going to be the same. And so powering the Supra is a 3-liter twin scroll turbocharged inline 6-cylinder by BMW, of course, putting out 382 horsepower, 5,800 RPM, 368 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 1,800 RPM. That power being sent to the rear wheels through your choice of either a 6-speed manual or an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters. The price is the same regardless of the transmission setup that you go with. So just know that it's not more money for the manual or vice versa. But 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 3.9 seconds. That's plenty respectable there. Top speed 155 miles per hour with MPG numbers coming in at 22 in the city, 29 on the highway, taking premium unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Supra, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's actually a sport drive mode button located kind of just to the left of the shifter there, and that is going to adjust things like the shift points, throttle response, the steering sensitivity, and the suspension settings as I'm setting up my GoPro here. So, but now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the acceleration here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get our new 2026 Toyota Supra here up to speed. What? Oh shoot, I love this thing. Gosh darn, that's fun. I love it, man. Little bit of slipping there. I will say I test drove the automatic, I think 2 years ago. That was wonderful. There was no slipping whatsoever, but still completely controllable. So don't get me wrong, it's not like I didn't have full control. Like, this is a very, very fun car to drive. That manual was butter. Absolutely love the way it shifted, and that was just so much fun. I could drive this thing all day, and I don't think I'm allowed to, but it was fun. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And actually the braking is going to differ depending upon the trim level that you go with. So up front, you get 13-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13-inch ventilated rear discs. But if you were to go with that final edition trim, you actually get 14.7-inch Brembo front discs. So that is pretty darn impressive and a pretty substantial difference between the trim levels there. But 4-piston front calipers as well, in case you were curious. But as far as that 6E0 stopping distance goes, it comes in at 100 feet even, which is plenty respectable. That's a very brilliant number, quite honestly. As far as braking feel goes, it's 100% on the firmer side of things. This thing instantly brings you to a stop. So far, driving dynamics, absolutely breathtaking. I absolutely love this car so far. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a double joint type McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars, but also coming standard, believe it or not, this comes standard even on the bottom trim, an adaptive damping suspension. So what that does is it monitors each shock absorber individually, not only adjusting to the road imperfections, giving you a smoother ride, and that's the one honestly I usually notice the most, but it also tightens up that suspension during heavy cornering, giving you better handling as well. So it does give you the best of both worlds. So I always love when an adaptive damping suspension is present, and you get it for all trim levels here in this thing, so gotta love that. But I did want to also mention, if you get with that final edition trim level, that's going to add to that a stiffer suspension and unique tuning for the adaptive dampers as well. So did want to mention that. But overall, as far as ride quality goes, we're on the smoothest road probably in the entire world. It's pretty darn good. But honestly though, you can feel a little bit more of the road in the Supra. We'll just be honest about that. Even with the adaptive damping suspension, I can't imagine this thing without an adaptive damping suspension, quite honestly. You would feel absolutely everything. But Having said that, it's not bad. It's a heck of a lot smoother than my modified 2019 Ford Mustang GT. I'll say that, and I had that car lowered with 19-inch wheels. So it's a similar setup than that, but a heck of a lot smoother ride than what I had. So I definitely give it respect for that. As far as steering feel goes, it's lovely. I absolutely love the steering feel of this thing. It's so much on the heavier side of things, and maybe it's because we got it in that sport driving mode, but it instantly points you in the direction that you want to go. So I do love that as well. Touching on cabin noise, we're going 52 miles per hour right now. I got no wind noise coming into side windows or anything like that. That's something that I always look for, so 100% perfectly fine there. No road noise really either, so cabin noise is 100% on point. The only thing that I'm getting a little bit is a little bit of that exhaust note, which I personally love, so definitely not going to have any issues with that. Touching our rear visibility, looking out my rear view mirror now, it's not the best, I will say that, but it's what you would expect the Supra to be like. And I will say, in my opinion, I think it's probably a little bit better than the Z in terms of rear visibility at least, so I definitely don't have any issues there. And the other thing I want to mention to you guys is there is a head-up display. Now it's kind of hard to see with sunglasses on, so I'm going to take them off here, but it is super bright without sunglasses on, without polarized sunglasses, and that is going to show your speed limit. It's going to display safety features up there as well, so that is pretty darn cool as well. I love that. And the only thing that would make that even cooler is if they did what BMW does, which is make it customizable, like when you change to drive mode, to make it look a little bit different. And yeah, Toyota doesn't do that, but it still looks good nonetheless. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2026 Toyota Supra. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Toyota Supra, finished in absolute zero, in case you were curious of our exact exterior color name that we had with us here. But let's go ahead and start with where this one is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the letter W, indicating typically that the vehicles are made in Germany, and that would make sense because this is more or less a BMW under the hood. But in our particular case, in the case of the Supra, this one is actually built and assembled in Austria, in case you were curious. But starting up front, you do have full auto leveling LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. You get the automatic feature with them. You also get automatic high beams, so if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams, and when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. You also have an aerodynamically enhanced front splitter. You guys can see that to the bottom there, that is finished in matte black. You also have some accents under the headlights. I wanted to point those out to you because you would think they would almost be like front air curtains, but they are not functional. There's actually no holes in them. So anyways, wanted to point that out in case somebody asked, but that pretty much rounds out the front end. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of the GR Supra here, gloss black A-pillar does come standard. You guys can see that. Matte black power adjustable side mirrors do come standard. They are heated with memory settings. However, we have an option on ours, so I'll get up a little bit closer to show you. We actually have authentic carbon fiber side mirrors, if you guys can see that. That is so stinking cool. I absolutely love that. That's real carbon fiber with LED integrated turn signals too, so that is really nice. I like that. But then taking a look down at the wheel setup, they are 19-inch gunmetal forged aluminum alloys. That's going to come with the 3.0 and the 3.0 Premium, but then the final edition is going to give you a slightly different variation, being 19-inch matte black forged aluminum alloys with Michelin Pilot Sport tires, so gotta love that for the grip. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Supra, all the way to the top, typically I first mentioned that there's a shark fin antenna of some sort, but there is not. There is no shark fin antenna whatsoever. That's kind of rare and kind of interesting. You do have that double bubble roof, I guess you could call it. You have a kind of an integrated rear spoiler, integrated duckbill spoiler, although they don't actually call it that until you get to the final edition trim level, because then they give you a carbon fiber duckbill spoiler, but it kind of looks like it's just integrated into it. As far as the taillights go, they are LED taillights, so they definitely look good back there as well. Got some GR badging just below those. Matte black rear diffuser to the very bottom there, and then of course dual exhaust outlets with polished tips. They definitely look good. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. right, so now since we are around to the back, when it comes to opening the trunk of the Supra, there is a button on the key fob to unlock it. So go ahead and press that. But once unlocked, you just lift up on it. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 10.2 cubic feet. There are some grocery bag hooks back there. Surprisingly, that's an SUV feature. I don't know why there's grocery bag hooks back there, but that's pretty stinking cool. You got a cargo cover back there and LED cargo lighting, so big fan of that. But typically next I move my way up to the rear seats, but there are not any rear seats in the Supra, so making your way up to the front seats. Power adjustable front seats with power lumbar coming standard. You do got memory settings for up to 2 different drivers. That's actually located on the seat itself as opposed to the doors where you typically find that. Heated front seats coming standard. You get red seat belts with the final edition trim level. You get an Alcantara leather combination for the 3.0 and final edition trims, and then full leather seating for our premium that we have with us here today. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, absolutely love it. 100% did not have any issues with seat comfort. Definitely not going to have any issues taking this thing on a long road trip or something like that. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. I love that it's two-toned in our particular case as well. I think that looks amazing. And it is leather wrapped. That does come standard for all trim levels as well. But then making our way to the startup, let me start by showing you guys this BMW key. You got your Toyota logo on the one side. You got your M colors on the side of the key, as you guys can see. I'm just kidding, obviously it's all red, but on BMW that would have the M colors right there. Lock, unlock, and of course the button to unlock the rear trunk there, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that silver engine start button located just by the driver's right knee. And so when it comes to the gauge cluster, Toyota did this absolutely amazing. I love the look of this. It is an 8.8-inch digital gauge cluster, and it does adjust slightly when you change the drive mode. If I were to put it in sport, it's going to kind of emphasize where the red line is. So it's not a ton of adjustments there, but it looks good nonetheless. You got your digital speedometer all the way to the left. Tachometer is front and center, of course. The gear you are in is front and center, dead in the middle, which is important with a manual car, of course. Fuel information's all the way to your left. You have speed limit recognition technology just underneath of that digital readout as well. It gives you outside temperature, trip A, trip B, so pretty much everything you could possibly want on a gauge cluster there. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. Dual zone climate control does come standard. Auto dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls throughout the 3 different garage doors, coming with all trim levels across the board. You gotta appreciate that. I love the carbon fiber trim. I wanted to mention that right away. It's surrounding the shifter here, and there is a ton of it, so huge fan of that. I love authentic carbon fiber because so many manufacturers will try to imitate carbon fiber these days, and it's not the real weave, it's not the real thing. Like this, like the side mirror, so absolutely big fan of that. Knee support cushions, you also have that in the Supra, which is definitely very nice, especially in a manual car here. Then we'll also add the final edition trim level is going to add some GR logos in the headrest for the seats, and also a final edition plaque as well, an MkV final edition plaque, I should say. But wireless phone charger also was going to come with the premium and final edition trims. But anyways, just behind that carbon fiber, you do have a couple cup holders. That's where they're going to be located. You got a teeny little bit of storage just behind that. Really all of your storage though is going to be located within the passenger side glove box there. I like the silver door handles. Overall, I actually don't have any issues with the interior quality. This is kind of nice. I love the two-tone theme, like I was saying. Like, this all feels like genuine BMW interior, especially the seats. So big fan of that. You got some gloss black surrounding the power window buttons as well. So they did a really good job with the interior quality here. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screens. But what you're looking at is an 8.8-inch infotainment screen. It is touchscreen, or you can control it using the circular dial and buttons located just to the right of the shifter there. But you do get Bluetooth and audio streaming, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. There's a factory navigation system for the premium and final edition trim levels. You could check out your car statistics up there as well if you wanted to, along with your radio information. So when it comes to the sound systems, there is a 10-speaker hi-fi sound system for the 3.0. That is a BMW sound system, of course. Or you can get a 12-speaker JBL sound system with 500 watts for the premium and final edition trim levels. So that is, of course, the one that we have with us here today. So let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. Clarity 100% on point, plenty of bass there as well. Really, it's definitely overkill for the size of this vehicle for such a small car, but Anyways, yeah, that sound system's plenty fine. JBL has been around for forever too. I had a JBL subwoofer in my first car. That never failed me, and that was over 20 years ago, so big fan of that. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen is when you do put the Supra in reverse, and by the way, to put the Supra in reverse for the manual, you slide it directly to the left and then up. That is how you're gonna go ahead and get that. Wouldn't have minded if they made that more of an intentional act, like you press down on the shifter or lift up underneath like Subaru does or something like that. It's just not the easiest to find reverse. Obviously I found it because you guys are seeing this rear view camera, but it's not as simple as if you were to make an intentional act like pressing down on the shifter like I said. But anyways, that gives you a rear view camera, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so to start, front side curtain airbags do come standard to get driver and passenger knee airbags up front as well. Tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard. A pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, lane departure warning with steering assist and brake assist then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Supra, the driving dynamics are really what makes this car absolutely amazing. They are wonderful. From the acceleration, from the grip, the 60 to 0 in only 100 feet, the steering feel extremely heavy, instantly pointing you in the direction that you want to go. Like overall, Toyota crushed it, or BMW, or whatever you want to say. They crushed it with the driving dynamics here. Also, a very rare manual transmission. Like a manual, believe it or not, it's almost unheard of these days. It's so hard to find one. So I love that Toyota is still doing it. They do it for the GR Corolla, they do it for the 86, they're doing it for the Supra. It's really a Honda and Toyota thing at this point, which I'm a big fan of. But carbon fiber trim, also a huge fan of that. And so, but that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow Younger Toyota on social media stuff somewhere on the screen. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews and all of our fun YouTube shorts we put on our channel then as well. We do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and we will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.